This video is brought to you by Sporlan, quality, integrity, and tradition. Previously on HVACR videos.
I can't say I've ever seen something like that before. It looks like the drain plugged up or something at one point and the ice started to build. And you can tell when you look at ice patterns, there's a lot about ice patterns. You can tell that this has been thawing and refreezing because it's soft and it's rounded. So like it goes into defrost, the warm water drips down, melts the ice, but then it refreezes. So it's all soft and rounded. Like ice tells you a lot. But notice that it's not iced up for the most part on the evaporator coil. It's just everything underneath and down below it. Down here, pull this off. Look at that. That's nice. That's all hair. That's gross. All right, so in here, that's the condenser inlet, and in here is the drain pan. So we should be able to see the drain from in here. Wait a minute. Where is the drain hose is not going into the drain pan. It's going on the back side of the drain pan, draining out behind the box. I wonder if it's like restricted. So again, this is the point. So this hose on the other side of this is not going into the pan. So look, this pan came right out and the hose is going back behind it. So it's draining, but something that I noticed is, it's kind of hard for you guys to see, but this drain has a U-bend on it. It has a fitting at the end that's like a U-bend. I can't really get it to focus very well for you guys. It has a U-bend, and the U-bend creates a kind of a P-trap. So water always sits in the bottom of the drain. And without that P-trap, hot air could come in the bottom of the drain and go straight up. All right, when we got here, this is how we found the box. You had the evaporator, you had the drain funnel. It was all frozen with ice, but down at the bottom, right? And you had hot air entering the bottom because the way the trap was. But we shifted the other way, and this is how we fixed it. So now the hot air, we moved it, so we created a P-trap. The hot air tries to go in the drain, but the standing water in the drain, because we made a trap out of it, stops the hot air from entering the box. But then gravity allows the water to drain out, and then it overcomes this air, but then there's always standing water sitting in that drain. All right, I am back, and a lot of people were asking or saying that my problem might actually be the chute heaters that are on the inside of that. So let's open this up and have a look and see if we've got ice buildup in there again and if those chute heaters are working, because I didn't check those last time. So I don't think it, but who knows, we'll see. The chute heater is working. We've got 0.30 amps. There's a heater on the back plate right here, and it's working. We've got a little bit of frost buildup right there. So let's test this drain line heater too. But the drain line heater's working too. It's warm, and the chute heaters are warm, and defrost heater's working. Everything's working on this. I think that our problem, like I mentioned in the video, was just that P-trap issue. So chute heater good, and then we get on this drain line heater, but I could feel it working down there too. It's way too small of a load, but I can feel it. It's warm, but the amp meter won't pick it up because we need to wrap it to get it going. So yeah, this thing, defrost heaters are working, everything's working. So yeah, but I'll be honest, I didn't know that there was a chute heater on this. I realized after everybody said that, I was questioning it. But yeah, the chute heater's completely working. Looks like it starts up here, then wraps under and goes over, but it's working all the way. And I've got a thermal imaging camera. You can see that the drain line heater is working. See how it's orange, bright orange? That's working. The chute heater is working, all right there. And then over here, this chute heater is working, and the defrost heater is working. So all the heaters are working in this guy. And what was happening, like I mentioned in the last video, was there was no essentially P-trap, and the warm air was coming up through here, driving in here. On another note, what's interesting to me is that they had to engineer these chute heaters to add heat load to this box. So this tiny evaporator has to overcome these chute heaters, which is kind of crazy. And I'm curious how the chute heaters are wired in. Are they wired into defrost heater voltage, or are they wired into refrigeration volt? Look at that, that's not even wired in. What does that go into? That's got a wire all by itself. I don't even know what that is. Interesting. Yeah, I guess I have to look at a schematic to see how those chute heaters are wired in. They should be wired into the freeze mode, I would think. But then again, if you do it in defrost, no, maybe in defrost, because when it drips down, it won't let it freeze to the sidewalls. Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, chute heaters are working. So we're gonna put this guy back together and get this power cord changed out. I don't have to look at the schematic. I just traced the wires back. It's wired into the defrost circuit, these chute heaters. So they're going into these guys right here, which have the defrost heaters. There's right there. And then this one, this black one right next to it, is the defrost heater running over. So yeah, it is going into the defrost heaters. The reason why we're changing the power cord is because it's missing the ground prong. Had a bunch of people ask me, why don't I just put a new end on it? Because you can cut this and put an end and turn it different directions. I try to stay OEM when we're dealing with R290 systems, because I don't want any liability on my company of changing something from the UL listed way that this thing's operating. So rather than put an end on this, I would suggest they get an electrician and put a different receptacle if that's a problem. But for whatever reason, I don't know why someone yanked the ground off or something like that. Sometimes they'll do that when they don't fit in the receptacles and stuff. I have no idea. So we'll get this swapped out right now. I really appreciate that they gave me a SJ cord, you know, connector here. It's the one that crimps down on the cord, because it makes it super easy to change out. And the fact that they use Wagos, just push the wires in, and then we just got to ground it, and this guy's ready to be put back together. The customer's been happy since I was here a week and a half ago. They've been stoked, so all should be well right now. Look at this wiring diagram right here. You could see that from the defrost module on here, comes out on, looks like 4 for H, that probably means heater, runs over, down, through the overload, then to the defrost heater, the trough heater, and the drain tube heater. All 3 of them get energized in defrost. So yeah, we're good. And then perimeter heater around the door stays on. That's what this little circuit breaker is for, the perimeter heater. So yeah, cool. This guy has that schematic in there, so that's kind of nice. And that extra wire also, by the way, was like a 3rd wire for the evaporator fan motor. It's not being used. So there was one going into a Wago, and I was like, what is that for? It's just it's like a low speed for the evaporator or something like that. But yeah, so we're good. I'm putting this back together, and we're giving them the keys. We'll be done with this one. Next thing that I want to do is we're going to replace the hinges on this freezer door, but we need to see if the defrost heater's working. So looks like the glass heater's working around the glass on the door. And then let's look at the defrost heater. Oh yeah, we're working. You can see it's all nice and bright yellow. That's because the heater's working all the way around. So now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna get some new hinges put on this guy. We already put a new closure on it. We're gonna put some hinges and get this door shutting better, so that way hopefully the frost goes away. All right, we're gonna verify the hinges are right, and then we're gonna take my airbag tools, put them underneath, lift up the door, space it out, and then do hinges one at a time. We'll probably do the middle one first, then start the top and the bottom, swap them out. And like I said, we already did a door closure, so we'll do that, then we'll get the ice removed and make sure that the door is shutting on its own. Those airbags are awesome. Just shove them under the door, pump them up, and then this one was kind of tight, so I set it in here, pumped it up, and then now we can start removing the hinges, and we'll try to increase that gap, because if we can, see how tight it is, but if you come over here, it's nice and big, so we want to have an even gap all the way around as much as possible. So we can usually loosen this, and there's usually a floating bracket in the door that allows you, so once you loosen these, typically to center it. Duracold I think has that, so we'll see. When you're doing these hinges, make sure if there's spacers or anything, this is a spacer to offset for the diamond plate to make sure that, you know, we have the right spacing here. So make sure you get the spacers back there, don't lose them. Sometimes you might have to do washers or something, but we should be good. So keep on going with this one at a time. These guys do not have the floating brackets behind them. It's just screws or screw holes that are there. Sometimes they have a floating bracket so you can adjust the door, but that's not the case on this one. So moving on, we have to take this out
to get the one that has a through hole, so that way we can pass the spring through it, so that way we have spring closing hinges. So you got to pay attention how you're taking it apart and put it back together right.
All right, I chipped away all the ice.
As much as was important, and now the door shuts all by itself, all the way sealed. We know the door heater's working. That we can just knock that off, but that cold air is not going to come out, so that ice will defrost in the corner. But yeah, we're good. So using the airbags really does help to get these doors shutting and centered and adjusted where you need them to be. Now when it comes to these, you don't want to over tighten these springs. You just tighten down this thread. If you look right here, there's a Phillips. You just tighten it down until this comes through just enough to where you can tighten this on the opposite way, and that locks the spring in place. Righty-tighty to tighten the spring, and then righty-tighty down here to tighten this nut. That's the retainer nut that won't let the spring back out now. And you can see this is also working too. They've just got condensation all over everything. It's probably coming around from the inside, but it's the heater's working. It's just, these heaters are a pain in the ass, this glass. Yeah, let's check it again. They still need to put a gasket on, but they're gonna have their guy do the gaskets, the gasket guy or whatever. But yeah, door's closing, all good now.
So when I initially came out on this service call, I did not know that that unit had a trough heater. I had diagnosed it, thought that I came up with a solution. And then when I saw the comments rolling through, one comment came through, said, check that trough heater, and my stomach started to hurt. And then it must have been 10 to 15 comments of people saying that trough heater, that's a dead giveaway for a trough heater, all this different stuff. So then I was like, man, did I miss something? No, I didn't. But I didn't know that trough heater was there. So it very well could have been a problem. But when I went back out, you guys saw, went through the unit, the trough heater's working, the drain line heater's working, and the defrost heater's working. We tested current, and we looked at it with the thermal imaging camera. So I was correct in my diagnosis the last time, and my solution of the drain being the issue with no P-trap, allowing that hot air to come back up through that drain line and then cause the unit to build up condensation and frost, okay? I am furthermore, after looking at the box, my personal opinion, and I'm not an engineer, I didn't design this box. It looks to me like that trough heater was an afterthought. It looks to me like maybe they had a lot of issues with this box and had to add the trough heater. I would be really interested to know if any of you have worked on these before they put the trough heaters on, and or if any of you happen to work for True. Shoot me an email, hvacrvideos@gmail.com. I'm just genuinely curious, like what that trough heater just seems like it makes the box severely inefficient. And it seems like it was an afterthought, like they made a mistake and realized something was wrong. I genuinely think if they have a proper P-trap on there, then their problems will be solved just like any freezer. But, you know, it is what it is. I did my best. We went ahead while we were there too and put the new power cord on the box. Now, a lot of people ask me, hey, why don't I put like an end kit on there? Because it was just missing the ground. Because as much as possible when I'm working on R290 systems for my own self, you do you, but for me and my company, we use only OEM parts on these boxes when they have the hydrocarbon refrigerants, because I don't want to be involved in anything weird that happens. If there's a lawsuit or anything like that, I don't want to be liable. I want to make sure that I did everything by the book, put the unit back together, use the manufacturer's suggested parts. Here's my personal experience. It doesn't matter how well you know the customer and how well the customer trusts you. If the customer has insurance and something happens, they're going to file a claim with their insurance company. Customer's not going to have any say in the matter, and the insurance company is going to come after you. That's my personal opinion and my experience with lawsuits, is that usually it has nothing to do with the customer, and it just has to do, again, with my experience, with their insurance company. And they do what they can to cover their butts and to make sure that they don't have to pay out on claims, and that's why they carry insurance. That's the same reason why I carry liability insurance too. So when it comes to working on these boxes with hydrocarbon, highly flammable hydrocarbon refrigerants, such as R290, which is what's in this one, I prefer to use the OEM parts only. So that's my 2 cents. You do you. It's okay if you do it differently. It's sad that we live in a society like this that's so litigious that we can't make an educated decision as a contractor and choose to use a more high quality, reliable part that we have to go with the OEMs, because the OEMs are not always the most reliable, the most high quality. But when you have flammable refrigerants in there, don't play games. Just do what the manufacturer wants. And if the customer has an issue with the box not temping, make sure they're a part of that issue too, and let them know, like, hey man, I got to use these parts and these parts are flawed. There's an issue with them, and leave it to them. Don't be the person, at least I would highly suggest that you don't be the person to try to re-engineer that box, because lawyers are going to eat you alive. Any chance that an insurance company can get to shift liability onto someone else from the manufacturer, and trust me, their insurance companies are much better than yours, guaranteed. They're going to do everything they can to shift liability in a situation where something happens. So don't give them that fuel. Went ahead and put new hinges on the walk-in freezer too, took care of that, got that door shutting right, and all is well. I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video. If you haven't already and you're interested in doing so, go check out my website, hvacrvideos.com, where we have merchandise available, such as this hat. It's a great way to help support the channel. There's hats, beanies, sweatshirts, and t-shirts on there, but the sweatshirts and t-shirts are slowly being phased out, so those won't be there for very long. Get them while you can, but we're getting rid of those because it's just too expensive to stock them. They take up too much shelf space and they don't move fast enough. We go through these hats, the stickers, and the beanies like crazy, so that's all we're going to continue to do. But you can find all that stuff over at hvacrvideos.com. A couple other ways to support the channel. The easiest way to support this channel, I can't stress it enough, is watch the videos from beginning to end. That really is the easiest way. You can also support the channel via PayPal, Patreon, or YouTube channel memberships, of which there is links in the show notes of this video. Last but not least, if you want to go over to TrueTechTools.com, if you see any tools that I use, such as the SC480 meter that I used in this video, the who makes the thermal imaging camera? HIC Micro M30. You don't need the M30, okay? That is a ridiculously expensive, over-the-top thermal imaging camera that, for the most stuff that we're doing, is not necessary. But you can get all sorts of HIC Micro products, again, over at TrueTechTools.com. And I have an affiliate program set up with them. If you use my affiliate code BIGPICTURE, one word, at checkout, you can get a nice discount on your order, and I get a small commission from that. So that is another great way to help support the channel. If you guys don't already know or aren't aware, coming up here in a couple weeks, the beginning of February, we are going to have the HVACR training symposium at the put on by HVAC School and Brian Orr. That will be in Florida, in the Orlando area. I will be at the HVACR training symposium. So if you guys are going to be going, definitely say hi to me. I should be there for both days. I know I'm going to be there for the first day for sure. So definitely stop me, say hi, let's take a picture, we'll talk, whatever. Should be a good time. I love the symposium. If you guys don't have a ticket to make it to the symposium, I'd highly suggest getting virtual tickets. Virtual tickets for the symposium usually allow you access to the recordings for quite a while. It's usually a couple months or something like that after. Pay attention to their website. It'll give you all that information. But another great way, the virtual tickets, they're so inexpensive for the value that you're going to get. The amount of amazing speakers that are going to be at the symposium is going to be epic. I personally am not going to be a speaker this year. I was asked, but I didn't do a speaking session last year, and I kind of enjoyed it. So I'm going to go. I think this is my event that I want to enjoy myself and just be an attendee. So I'm going to try that again. Then after that, a couple days later, we are going to stay in the Orlando area, and my wife, HVACR wife, and I are both going to be attending the AHR Expo at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando. I will be at several different booths. Majority of the time, I will be at the Parker Sporlin booth. Then I'll do a little bit of time at the Refrigeration Technologies booth, and then a little bit of time at the Heatcraft Refrigeration booth. Pay attention to my social media. I'll be putting out some schedules showing where I'll be, when I'll be. So that way, if you guys want to come say hi, take a picture, have a conversation, you guys will be able to find me. So stay tuned. Pay attention to my social media, HVACR videos on majority social media platforms. And HVACR wife is my wife's social media stuff on Instagram, mostly is where she's active with that one. She'll be posting it too. And I'm sure she'll be putting some behind the scenes information on Instagram, showing some cool stuff. She's going to be behind the camera, helping me out. Just kind of trying to make my day go smoother because it's going to be exhausting those days. But If you haven't already gotten your tickets to the AHR Expo, definitely sign up. Come say hi, go to the show. It's going to be a great time. Sometimes they can have up to 30,000 people over the 3 days, and it's just an amazing event with tons and tons of cool new products and all kinds of information. So definitely something you guys want to check out at the AHR Expo. I will be there. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so very much, and we will catch you on the next one.